Now, there is a way to go ahead and end a filibuster. There's one way that you can go ahead and stop people from just yakking all the time. The way to end a filibuster is by doing something called invoking closure. I really don't know why it's called invoking closure, but you have to kind of get used to using these kind of words because this is what they actually call it when they're talking about the Senate. But invoking closure just means ending debate. So when you invoke something, you sort of activate it, and then closure is just what it's called. You're closing debate, closure. So in order to invoke closure, here's what you need to do. So let's say the same situation that I was describing before. I go ahead and I say, I would like to begin to debate Phil's corn law. Somebody stands up, the presiding officer says, of course, are there any objections? Somebody stands up, they start yakking. I'm like, oh my God, they're filibustering. The way that I can go ahead and end that and not have everybody keep raising their hands is that I can invoke closure. Now what that means is that if I can get 60 people, 60 senators, to go ahead and agree that debate should end, so I walk around and I talk to 60 different people and I say, okay, look, I'm trying to present my bill, but these yahoos keep yakking away. Will you go ahead and sign my petition to say that debate is going to end? And so if I can get 60 senators to go ahead and agree that debate is going to end, when I present my bill, so I present my bill, and I say I'd like to go ahead and present, to debate Phil's corn law, but first I have a closure petition. So it's like I have I have something signed by 60 people saying that we all think that debate should end. So I can give that to the presiding officer and I can say, look, we're gonna start to debate the bill, and debate is I've got 60 signatures saying debate has to end, so we have an opportunity to vote on the bill. If I can get those 60 signatures, this is what happens in the Senate. From the point that I submit those 60 signatures, and I say, hey, I got 60 senators to go ahead and sign saying that they wanted debate to end, then from that point, the point at which I go ahead and give them give the presiding officer my little petition, there will be 30 more hours of debate. So when they say that they're ending debate in the United States Senate, what that means is there's only going to be 30 more hours of debate. Right? That's ending debate. Ending debate is, okay, debate is over. Ending debate is, okay, debate is over in 30 hours. From the time at which I go ahead and submit that petition and say I have 60 votes from 60 senators saying that they agree that we're going to end debate, no other matters can be addressed. In other words, if it's Phil's corn law that they want to filibuster and debate on, then that's the only thing that they can talk about. They can just talk about Phil's corn law. They can't talk about anything else. Nobody else can say, hey, look, well, we're waiting for the 30 hours to run out. Let's take care of some other bills. Nothing. The only thing that can happen is debate on that bill. And any amendment that is proposed. So if somebody says, okay, look, you know what, we're debating Phil's corn law, and I think that we should add this to the bill, or we should take this out of the bill. All amendments past the point of invoking closure have to be germane. They have to be relevant. Now, you may be thinking, like, what does that mean? It has to be germane. Well, in the United States Senate, the way it works is that if I have a bill that has to do with corn and the selling and transportation of corn, and let's say there's somebody else, they have a bill that they want to go ahead and they want to go ahead and let's say they want to raise the minimum wage. So I have Phil's corn law, and I say, let's debate Phil's corn law. Nobody's filibustering. We just start debating Phil's corn law. And someone says, I have an amendment I'd like to propose. And they say, okay, what's the amendment? They say, I want to raise the minimum wage. It's like, wait, what the heck does raising the minimum wage have to do with Phil's corn law? Nothing. raising the minimum wage is irrelevant. It is not germane. In the United States Senate, you can propose amendments to bills that have nothing to do with the actual bill. Zero. I've got a bill on corn. Somebody wants to raise the minimum wage, they can do that. Except when you have successfully invoked cloture. Once you invoke cloture, any amendments to the bills that are being debated, an amendment is just somebody saying, I want to add something to the bill, or I want to take something out of the bill. That's what an amendment is. Any change to the bill after you've invoked cloture has to be relevant. Now we're going to come back to this when we talk about how a bill becomes a law. But in the House of Representatives, all amendments to bills have to be germane. They have to be relevant to the bill that's being debated. In the United States Senate, it's a free-for-all, man. You can propose anything you want. For a while, when the Democrats were in the minority, they were the minority party, and they wanted to raise the minimum wage. They were in favor of that. The Republican Party was opposed to it. So what the Democrats said they were going to do, and they did it, is they were in the minority party, but every time a bill came to the floor, didn't matter what the bill was on, somebody in the Democratic Party would propose to raise the minimum wage. And then they would vote on it, and the Republicans would vote no, and the Democrats would vote yes, but there were more Republicans than there were Democrats, and so it never passed. So why would they do that? Why do you keep proposing an amendment if you know it's never going to pass? Because come election time, they could go and they can say, when they're running for re-election, they could say about the senators, this guy voted against raising the minimum wage 52 times. It's like, whoa, that's a lot of times voting against the minimum wage. Well, every single time they knew it wasn't going to pass, but they're allowed to propose amendments that have nothing to do with the bill, except when cloture has been invoked, unless they've got those 60 signatures to go ahead and end debate. That's the way it works in the Senate. The whole thing is bizarre if you think about it. The whole thing is completely bizarre. Now, you may be thinking like, Phil, well, how come I've never seen these kind of people just yakking on TV? How come I don't ever see that on TV? Well, the way they've set it up in the Senate, the way the rules and customs work, is that there's actually not very many filibusters. Because what can happen now is if a senator wants to go ahead and if they want to filibuster a bill, they don't actually have to get up and talk for 24 hours or for as long as they could. They don't actually have to do that. What senators can do is they can put what's called a hold on the bill. Well, what does a hold mean? A hold is basically a senator's way of saying, if you bring this bill to the floor, I am going to filibuster it. So, for example, let's say I have Phil's corn law, and I talk to the Senate Majority Leader, and I say, hey, when do we get to vote on my bill? And let's say he says, yeah, we're going to be voting on it next Wednesday. And next Wednesday comes around, and I say, hey, we're voting on my bill today. And then they would say, no, we're not. Why not? You told me it was going to be Wednesday. I say, well, Senator so-and-so put a hold on your bill. What that means is Senator so-and-so has said, if you bring the bill to the floor, Phil, I'm going to filibuster it. It's like, oh man, he's going to filibuster it. And I don't know, maybe he's got some other people are going to filibuster too. And then I'm really in deep trouble. So what are my options? I can go ahead and I can go over to Senator so-and-so and say, hey, what's the problem with the bill? Is there anything I can do? Can I change it so that you don't feel like you need to filibuster it, or you're just hell-bent on filibustering? There's nothing that I can say or do. And maybe you'll say, no, if you take out these two provisions, I have a problem. Or if you add this in, I'll be cool with it. Right? Or he may just say, no, I just hate it. But I can try and work it out with him. And if I can work it out with the person who put the hold on the bill, well, then I can go ahead and once I make the changes to the bill, I can say, I would like to, go to the presiding officer, say, I would like to begin debate on this bill. The presiding officer says, are there any objections? No? Okay, then let's begin debate on the bill. And then that's cool. And again, all I need is 51 votes, a majority, a simple majority. But the way they've set it up is that you can just put a hold on the bill. You just warn somebody, I'm going to filibuster. You bring this bill to the floor, I'm going to filibuster it. What that does is it basically stops the bill from coming to the floor for a vote, and the senator doesn't even have to do the actual filibuster. All they have to do is write a little note. By the way, here they're putting a hold on this bill. If it comes to the floor, I'm going to filibuster it. That's the way the Senate works. It's a really bizarre institution. And again, I realize that's all very sort of complicated, and you may be thinking like, this doesn't make any sense. Again, write down your questions, because this stuff is really complicated. It really is, and you'll need to ask questions. So again, if we're in a face-to-face class, write it down and we'll talk about it at the beginning of the next lecture. If you're in a hybrid class or an online class, communicate with me via email. And again, ask me questions, because oftentimes if you have a question, somebody else has the same question. Now, the last part of this that we're going to cover is what I'm going to call the practical implications of the rule of extended debate. But I think I'm going to do it on the next video. So we're going to stop here, and then that's where I'll pick up on the practical implications of the rule of extended debate.